Here is something that sounds impossible, almost like a lie. The most dangerous fat on your body is actually the easiest fat to burn off. I mean, the deep fat, the stuff packed behind your abdominal wall, wrapped tightly around your liver, your intestines, all your vital machinery inside. It is easier to lose than the soft, jiggly fat you can pinch between your fingers. That sounds backwards, but stay with me here. You do not need a gym for this. You do not need a treadmill or a full hour of your busy evening either. You need about 8 minutes, a small patch of floor, and a little willingness to feel uncomfortable for short bursts. That is genuinely all. If that sounds too good to be true, keep listening, because once you understand why this works, everything about belly fat starts to change. Let me explain what we are talking about, because belly fat is really two very different things quietly wearing the exact same coat. There is the fat right under your skin, the kind you can easily grab with your hand. Scientists call this one subcutaneous fat. That word just means under the skin. It is annoying, it is stubborn, it ruins the fit of your favorite jeans, but mostly harmless. Then there is the other kind, sitting much deeper, underneath your muscles, filling the small spaces between your organs like soft packing foam. That deeper one is visceral fat, and this is the type that truly matters because it is not sitting there quietly minding its business. This fat is alive in a way that should honestly surprise you. It behaves almost like an extra organ that nobody asked for. It does not just store energy and wait. It actively pumps out chemical signals that travel through your whole body, causing quiet trouble. It releases little inflammatory messengers, and it interferes with insulin, the hormone that carefully manages the sugar floating around in your blood. It has been tied to heart disease, to type 2 diabetes, and to a long list of conditions you would rather never meet. So when somebody tells you to lose belly fat, this deep stuff is the fat that is actually genuinely worth the effort to lose. And now here comes the twist, the part that flips this whole story around. What makes visceral fat dangerous also makes it easy to burn. Let me sit with that for a second, because it is the beating heart of everything I want to share with you today. Fat that just sits under your skin is kind of lazy. It is long-term storage, an emergency reserve your body tucked away and forgot. It does not want to let go without a serious fight. Visceral fat is the complete opposite kind of creature, though. It is what scientists call metabolically active, which simply means it stays constantly busy, always trading fuel in and out, always ready to move. Picture it like this, because the image really helps. Imagine your subcutaneous fat is money you buried deep in a jar in your backyard. It sits 3 feet down, under a heavy rock, hard to reach. Your visceral fat is the cash sitting right there in your wallet. Which one is easier to spend when you need it? The wallet, obviously. It is right there, designed to move, meant to be used. That is exactly why the deepest, most dangerous fat responds so quickly the moment you give your body the correct signal to burn it. So what is that right signal? Here is where almost everybody gets it completely wrong, and where the no gym part starts making sense. For decades, the advice was simple, and it was everywhere you looked. If you want to burn fat, do slow, steady, gentle cardio. Go for a long jog. Climb on a treadmill and settle into the so-called fat-burning zone, that easy pace you could hold forever. And look, that is not useless at all. It burns some calories, it is good for your heart, it definitely has its place. But it is slow, it is mind-numbingly boring, and it eats up enormous chunks of your day for a fairly modest little payoff. There is a shortcut hiding quietly inside your own biology, and it comes down to two hormones with rather intimidating scientific names. Those hormones are adrenaline and noradrenaline. You already know adrenaline well. It is the famous fight-or-flight hormone that floods you when startled. It is what surges through you when a car swerves towards you, or when someone suddenly jumps out from a corner and scares you badly. Scientists lump these two together and call them catecholamines. Here is the single most important thing that you really need to understand today. These hormones are the messengers. They are the ones that tell your stubborn fat cells to unlock their doors and release their stored fuel. Now here is the beautiful part, and this is where the whole thing gets genuinely strange and honestly kind of wonderful to think about. Visceral fat is absolutely covered in the tiny receptors that listen carefully for these hormones. It is coated in them, far more than skin fat. So picture your visceral fat as a room full of people who have been sitting by a phone all day, desperate for one call. And adrenaline is that call finally coming through. The very instant it rings, every single one of them picks up, because they were waiting. Your subcutaneous fat, by comparison, has hardly any phones in its room at all, so it barely even notices when that same call comes through. Gentle jogging produces just a soft trickle of these hormones, a polite little ring that maybe a few scattered cells bother to answer, but short, hard, genuinely all-out effort produces a flood instead. It makes every single phone in the entire building ring loudly at once. And guess which fat has the most phones ringing? The dangerous, deep, visceral kind. It answers first, and it answers the loudest of all. And that right there is the entire secret behind why 8 short minutes can genuinely do more real work than a whole slow hour. When you push hard, and I mean genuinely hard, you are breathing heavy, and there is no way you could hold a normal conversation. Your body dumps out those fat-releasing hormones at a level that easy, comfortable, chatty exercise simply never reaches, no matter how long you go. And the wonderful thing is, you do not need to sustain it for an hour. You could not if you tried, and that is the point. You just need short, intense bursts with small breaks tucked neatly in between them. Push, then recover. Push again, then recover again. Simple. 8 minutes of that pattern can send a louder, clearer burn the deep fat message through your body than 5 minutes of slow, easy plodding along. But wait, I can already hear the obvious question forming in your mind, and honestly, it is a really good and fair one. If the workout only lasts 8 minutes, does not the fat burning just stop the very second you stop moving and sit down? Surely? And this is the part that genuinely stopped researchers in their tracks when they first started measuring it very carefully in the lab. No, it does not stop at all. In some surprising ways, the fat burning process is actually only just getting properly started. Let me explain this, because it is the exact piece that makes such a short little workout punch so far above its own weight. When you throw your body into that kind of intense effort, you knock it completely out of its comfortable, settled, everyday balance. You have torched through your immediate fuel. You have built up byproducts that now need clearing. Your muscles have tiny bits of damage needing repair. Your breathing, your temperature, your oxygen levels, all of it has been thrown right off. And now every bit of it must return to normal. And here is the key thing to grasp. Putting everything back in proper order costs energy, real energy, burned quietly in the background. So for hours after you have stopped, sat down, showered, and moved on, your body keeps working overtime, cleaning up the mess you made. Scientists gave this a wonderfully clunky name. They call it excess post-exercise oxygen consumption, which is quite the mouthful to actually say. But you may have heard it called by its much friendlier nickname instead, the afterburn. That word captures it perfectly and simply. Gentle, steady cardio barely creates any afterburn at all. Hard, intense, breathless effort, on the other hand, creates a whole lot of it. So you finish your 8 minutes, you wander off to make your coffee, you answer a few emails, and your body keeps quietly burning. It is still tidying up, still burning extra fuel, long after you have mentally moved on to the rest of your ordinary day. That is genuinely wild when you actually stop and sit with it. You did the work in 8 minutes, but the effect lingers for hours. Now, before you go all in and throw yourself down onto the floor this very second, I owe you a little honesty here. I promised this would be real and not empty hype. So there are a few catches, and pretending otherwise would be doing you a disservice. The first catch is this: you cannot spot reduce fat. Doing 1,000 crunches will not by itself melt fat off your stomach specifically. I am sorry, but it is a stubborn myth. And it has been tested into the ground by researchers many times over. Your body alone decides where it pulls fat from, and it truly does not care one bit which particular muscle you happen to be working. But, and this is the crucial but, visceral fat is a very special case, and here is exactly why it does not break that rule. You are not targeting it by working your abs directly. You are targeting it because whole body intensity floods your entire system with those hormones. And visceral fat, with all its eager little receptors, all those phones ringing off the hook, is simply first in line to respond. So you are not really spot reducing at all. You are just burning the fat that happens to answer the call the very fastest. And it just so happens that this fast answering fat is the exact deep, dangerous stuff you most wanted gone in the first place. The second catch is bigger, so please do not skip past it. 8 minutes of movement simply cannot outrun your own fork. You have probably heard the phrase before, and it is completely true. You genuinely cannot outrun a consistently bad, careless diet. It always wins. If you eat in a way that keeps your insulin sky high all day, you constantly refill those fat stores faster than any workout empties them. Then no 8-minute session on this earth is going to win that particular fight for you. The math is simply stacked against it. The workout is a powerful signal, yes, but the food you eat is the whole environment that this signal has to land inside. Sugary drinks, constant grazing all day long, heavily processed food engineered to make you keep eating, these pile visceral fat on in the first place. So please do not think of the workout and your diet as competitors racing each other. Instead, think of them as close partners. The movement opens the door. What you eat then decides whether the fat actually gets up and walks out through that open door. Get them working together, and the results compound in a way that neither one of them could ever manage alone by itself. And there is a third thing, maybe the most important of all, and it is the one that people least want to actually hear. Consistency beats intensity on any single given day. 8 brilliant, brutal minutes today, followed by nothing for 3 whole weeks, does almost nothing. But 8 minutes most days of the week, repeated week after week after week, is what genuinely rewires your whole metabolism over time. The magic was never in any single heroic session. It lives in the repetition, the quiet drip, drip, drip of consistent signals sent again and again. Those signals tell your body over and over in a language it cannot ignore, this deep fat is not needed anymore, so it can go. And the real beauty of 8 minutes is that it is short enough to actually keep sending it, even on your busiest, hardest days. An hour-long workout is very easy to skip the moment life gets busy. 8 little minutes is almost impossible to honestly justify skipping. That is not a weakness of this whole approach at all. That short length is, in fact, the entire strength of the thing. And there is one more thing worth folding in right here, because it genuinely catches so many people completely off guard when they hear it. Stress, specifically the grinding, never switching off, always braced for the next bad thing, kind of long term. Chronic stress that so many of us quietly carry around every single day. That kind of stress floods your body with a hormone called cortisol, and cortisol has one particularly nasty little habit that matters here. It actively encourages your body to store fat right there in that deep, visceral, wrapped around your precious organs area you are trying so hard to shrink. So, oddly enough, your sleep and your general sense of calm matter here too, more than you might have ever expected them to. Now, do not get confused here. A short burst of exercise stress is actually a very good thing for your body to have. It is a clean signal that spikes sharply and then clears out quickly. Your body handles that kind of brief stress beautifully every time. It is the constant, low-level background hum of stress, the kind that never truly resolves, that quietly works against you day after day. So the same 8 minutes that helps burn visceral fat also gives your nervous system a healthy jolt and helps you sleep more deeply. And better sleep then lowers the very cortisol that was busy storing that fat in the first place. It all loops back beautifully. Okay, so what does all of this actually look like when you finally get down on the floor and start to do it yourself? The good news, the part that ties right back to that promise in the title, is that you truly do not need any equipment, no gym membership, no fancy, expensive machine, no dumbbells sitting in a corner. Your own body weight is more than enough resistance to do this. The basic pattern is simple. You pick a few big, full body movements, things that use a whole lot of your muscle all at once. Because the more muscle you manage to recruit at one time, the bigger the hormonal wave you set crashing through your entire system. Fast squats work well, where you sit down low and then stand right back up again quickly, over and over without stopping. Marching or jogging hard on the spot works too, driving your knees up high and pumping your arms hard the entire time. Or those movements where you bend down, place both hands flat on the floor, and step or hop your feet back and then in. The specific move honestly matters far, far less than the sheer effort and intensity that you choose to pour into it. That is what counts. Here is the simple rhythm that makes the whole thing actually work. You go hard for something like 30 seconds at a time. And I mean genuinely hard, not a comfortable little jog in place, but the kind where your body actually starts to protest and complain loudly. Then you rest for around 15 or 20 seconds. You catch your breath, you gather yourself, and then you go hard all over again. You simply repeat that cycle for about 8 minutes total, and then, just like that, you are completely finished for the day. But here is the one single rule that matters far more than any fancy exercise name I could ever possibly give to you. During the hard part, you should not be able to comfortably hold a conversation. That breathlessness is the whole point of the exercise. If you could easily chat away with someone standing beside you, then you are not there yet, and those hormones are not really pouring out. That breathless, give me just a second feeling in your chest, that is the actual signal working exactly as it should. That is the process happening. That is adrenaline itself, knocking hard and insistently on the door of every single fat cell that you happen to have in your body. Now, one important word of genuine care here, because I truly want you to still be happily doing this a whole year from now. If you are just starting out, or if you have got any health conditions at all, please do not take this as a dare. Do not take it as a dare to go and hurt yourself badly on day one. Intensity is relative. It is deeply personal to you. For one person, hard might mean sprinting explosively in place until their legs burn. For another, it means something far gentler than that. For that other person, hard simply means marching quickly and pumping their arms until they are breathing heavy. Both are completely valid efforts. Your all out only ever has to be all out for you, exactly wherever you happen to be standing today. That is genuinely good enough. Meet your body where it actually is right now, not where you secretly wish it were, and let hard slowly get harder over time. It will get harder as you get fitter, because you truly will get fitter with steady practice. Your body adapts faster than you think. And if you have got any heart trouble, joint problems, or you have been away from real movement for a very long time, pause first. Have a quick, honest word with a doctor before you throw yourself into anything high intensity. That is simply the wise thing to do first. That is not me being overly cautious just for the sake of it. It is the smart way to play a long game worth winning. But here is what I really want you to walk away with today, because it reframes this whole thing in a way that matters. It matters far, far beyond just fat. We have somehow all been sold this idea that fixing our health has to be something enormous. Long hours in the gym, punishing, joyless, endless routines. A complete overhaul of your entire life starting first thing this coming Monday morning. And that particular story keeps an enormous number of good people completely stuck, frozen in place, unable to move forward even one small step. Because when the bar is set that impossibly, ridiculously high, most of us just quietly never begin the journey at all. We stall out, but your body does not actually run on that harsh logic. It does not reward pointless suffering for its own empty sake. It never did. It responds to signals instead. Clear signals, honest signals, repeated signals sent patiently over time. That is the real language your body actually speaks. And the deepest, most dangerous fat you carry, the very stuff you would least like to keep, turns out to be the most willing. The most willing of all to finally leave if you just learn to speak to it in the simple language it clearly understands. Short, intense, honest effort. Repeated gently with a little patience, day after day. That is the whole message, distilled down to its purest form. So, no, 8 minutes is not a magic trick, and I would never insult you by pretending for even 1 second that it is. It is something far better than magic. Actually, it is a real conversation with your own remarkable biology. happening quietly every single time. And the truly remarkable thing is this: your body is always listening, always ready to respond, always quietly capable of real, lasting change inside. No matter how long it has been, no matter how many false starts sit behind you, no matter where you happen to be standing right now. You do not have to somehow find a whole hour that you simply do not have anywhere in your packed, busy, overflowing day. You just have to find 8 honest minutes and then genuinely mean them with everything you have got. That is the entire ask of you. Start right there, today, with the very next 8 minutes sitting quietly in front of you. Speak the language your body already knows well, and then simply trust that it will rise up to meet you faithfully for every single step of the rest of the way.